Our speaker for today is Jen Hegler, who will speak more or less on the corn dollies ritual. As I understand it, it's been in existence since pre-Christianization in Europe, and sort of ended with mechanization. But Jen will tell us more about it. She is currently a mental health counselor in Bristol, living in Johnson City, and has been a teacher and has mentored students from this congregation, according to her. So maybe you remember her. Jen.
There's no love quite like that between a girl and her scythe. I was sitting here and thinking about how surreal it is to get to reclaim my relationship with this area, because I did teach for so long and I had to hide so much of myself. No, I didn't do it well, but I at least tried. So today we're going to talk about dollies, corn dolls, grass dolls, harvest, all that. If you were here last time I spoke about the magic and the mundane, had a lot more fancy stuff on my apron. We're keeping it loose today. We just had our harvest home ritual last night, so it's super fresh on my mind. And actually, when Bill mentioned the phrase harvest home, I was like, cool, I guess that's coming up today too. I want to talk a little bit about the history, which is wide and varied. And then I want to talk about my personal experience with it, and then finish up a doll for the congregation. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. So, story in 3 parts, strap in. Oh, also there's audience participation. Those of you who got a sweet little strip with a call and response, thank you, I love you. Thank you, Linda, for doing me a solid with that, because I forgot to plan ahead. So, all right. I suggested the children leave because there will be fairly brief mention of human sacrifice, and I didn't want to upset anybody. So just know that's going to come up a little bit later. So most people, when they think of corn dollies, they think of these. It's made of corn husk. Actually, I didn't make this. This is from Piney Flats from a field trip. Zen or Rosalie could have been there. I don't remember. It's been a while, right? But people think of these. Typically, they're dried corn husks from the end of the season, made into little people-y shapes. This one, she's real fancy. She's got 2 colors, right? Corn dolls can also mean grass dolls. I made this yesterday with local plants. There's sage in the skirt. There's mullein as the dress and the arms, and then the deadhead from Queen Anne's lace. This was all locally sourced in my sister's backyard that she has rewilded. So, corn dollies. People think of corn as just corn, right? But that's one of those things where language can be tricky. Corn dollies have existed as far back as people have existed, pretty much, as far back as we've had grain. So when people would talk about corn dollies in England, they would mean grass, wheat, whatever they had. So please know, I'm going to use corn and grass interchangeably because it depends on kind of where you are and what you have to work with. So, a lot of people also think of corn dolls, the husk dolls, as Native American. And they are, but they're not just Native American. This is one of those fun things where it's kind of like convergent evolution of traditions. And that's really beautiful to get to read about. But originally, the story of the corn doll was that some of the last leaves of the harvest contained the spirit of the crop. So you would make a doll out of it to embody and honor the spirit of that crop. There were lots of other ways to honor the spirit of the crop. We're going to do another one later, and that's what the scythe is for. But the doll was very commonly held in a place of honor, in the house. In some small villages, when the village converted to Christianity, they would still make the dolls, and the leaders would oh so reluctantly allow the dolls to sit in the back pew as a way of placating the old ways and basically saying, no, it's cool, I guess, right? In many pagan traditions, especially Wiccan or Celtic traditions, corn dolls are for the goddess Brígid or Brigid, lots of different ways to say her name. Her holy day is in February, and it's all about the return to light. A lot of the dolls for Brígid are very human-shaped. Some of them get incredibly ornate. Another special use for corn dollies is people would give them to their beloved. My fingers aren't that nimble, but I saw some beautiful images and representations, especially from small villages in England, where someone would weave these loops and twists and braids called buttonholes, because there was a hole on it, and give it to their beloved, who would then wear it over her heart, because it was a symbol of dedication. Not only the dedication to the person to give it, but also to make it, because this was pre-machinery. Someone's hands made this as a symbol of their love. Part of the evolution of dollies is poppets, which anyone who's read about witchcraft or watched certain horror movies, I'm sure you're familiar with poppets. They are dollies that people think of fabric. They could be apple head, they could be corn, they could be grass, but they're dollies that are made and serve a certain purpose. Usually people think of them for protection. That seems to be a recurring theme in all this. One of the ways that dollies were used for protection is everyone in the village would add to it. Basically, it was a game of hot potato. One farmer at the last harvest would start the doll and pass it on to the next, and pass it on to the next, and pass it on to the next, until everyone in the village had added something from their harvest to the doll as a display of community and teamwork, and to keep the community together and safe throughout the coming year. Because if you think about it, this was before mechanization. This is before grocery stores. You had to know that you could count on each other in the lean times, and they got real lean. Nowadays, there's kind of a bit of a reclaiming around a lot of old traditions. It's kind of part of what I am. I use the word witch as a shorthand, but it makes people bristle. If I want to get technical, I identify as a bioregional animist, and that's the spirit of this specific place. And part of the spirit of this specific place is your sage, is your mullein, is, things that Linda and I cut out this morning from out front and deadheaded. It's corn from her yard. I saw the children going on a walk, so all of their dolls are going to be from this place. In my tradition, one of our festival days is called Harvest Home. And Harvest Home is based off of a tradition that may or may not, it's prehistory, we can't really go back and fact check, may or may not involve human sacrifice. You may be aware, human sacrifice not terribly trauma-informed. So instead of a person, we craft dolls. And we get together, we make a potluck full of seasonal ingredients, and we forage the land. Some people want to bring books and know exactly what plant they're putting in and the medicine behind it and the intention behind that. And others are just like, ooh, that's cool, I want that. Oh, that's nice, I want that. And it's all okay. Because whatever you cut and weave together, you're bringing into your home to keep it safe. We put our dollies above our doors for the year. And then September 1st of every year, we have what we call the Ascension of the Sacrifice. And that's a callback to the alleged potential humans, right? If you were willing to give your life for your village, you got to live your best life that last year leading up to it. I mean, isn't that what you'd want, right? So for the ascension of the sacrifice, we give our dolls oils, we'll burn incense, we'll give them food. Mine got a lot of coffee, okay? I'm just going to be real. But it was good coffee. But in doing that, it puts that intention, builds that intention. It's like, thank you so much for keeping my door safe. You were the first thing I saw when I got home. You were the last thing I saw before I left. I was aware that my house and those who are in it were safe. My guests are safe. Your work has not gone unnoticed. So at the end of the ascension of the sacrifice is the day of the Harvest Home Feast, which was yesterday. We bring our old dolls and put them out in the sun and create our new ones. This is actually one of 3 that I have. This is going in my office. Don't tell my boss. I don't know how cool she is. But they go by the doorways as a reminder. And for those of you who don't believe in magic, isn't it nice to have that little touch point, though? To be like, wow, what a fantastic day. We ate, and we laughed, and we danced, and we sang. And I get to think about that every day. No matter where I go, I get to take that with me. So at Harvest Home, we bless waters, we make dolls, and then we have the feast. For the feast, all of the dolls are on the table. Old dolls, it's their farewell feast. New dolls, it's their welcome feast. There were 11 of us yesterday, and I think between the 11 of us, there were like 25 to 30 dolls of various sizes, right? It was really cool, but we were very squished together. It was worth it, though. It's part of the fun. After the feast, we did a sharing circle, because at this point, we'd spent time with our dolls, we'd crafted, created, shared, laughed, and the sharing circle is your chance for 3 minutes. Yes, we have a timer, because we believe in feelings, but we also believe in respecting time. And for those 3 minutes, you get to speak whatever's on your heart. People usually cry. It's not required, but it is a bonus. After that was the sacrifice. Your new dolls watch the old dolls go in the fire. Kind of gives them a TLDR of what their next year is going to look like, right? And again, whether or not you believe that this is a tie back to villages where a person would willingly give themselves up, you got to admit there's still some pretty cool symbolism in there, right? So, part of the sacrifice is taking time to watch that doll, to watch the smoke, to watch the flame, to bask in the time that you have with these people, and to think about what you have harvested this past year since you made those dolls, and what you hope to harvest in the year to come. I wanted to speak about the history of dolls because it is so varied and wonderful. Even since I got here this morning, there have been people coming up to me and showing me their dolls. Some had heads made of sunflower. Some were made of corn husks. Some were made of just whatever they could find, and it was all beautiful and wonderful. But to have that touch point, most of y'all don't know me, right? But for us to have those dolls in common, and for people to feel like they could be seen and say, hey, here's this weird little thing I do. Do you like it? I really like it. Do you like it? How human is that? Dolls bring out the humanity in us. They bring out the sense of creativity and the sense of play, but they also ground us and remind us, especially if they're protection dolls, what we have could go south at any moment. Not in a doom and gloom way, but in a very existential way. What we have matters, right? And we get to decide what we do with that, and we get to decide what that matters. And right before we threw our dolls in the bonfire last night, it came to me that the dolls are the most human of us all. They have one sole purpose. They are made with love. They guard our home. They keep us grounded for 1 year. The dolls don't have to worry about the 5-year plan. The dolls just get to be. And how beautiful is that to just get to live in the moment and to just get to look out for others and to be present and to watch the door, to come and to go and to really see people that pass through. So whether or not you believe in magic, I hope that dolls remind you of the magic of humanity. So this doll, I haven't finished her yet, but Linda and I went out and cut the plants for her this morning. I also want to thank Violet, who isn't in here right now. She helped me choose string colors to tie her off. But this doll isn't going home with me. This doll is yours. So you all, as a congregation, get to decide, what are we going to do with her? Are we going to put her over the door? Are we going to put her in RE? Are we just going to throw her away when Jen leaves and hope she doesn't notice? I won't. What does it mean to us? So as I tie this doll, we're going to have a moment of silence to just witness this moment we're in right now and how this doll, yes, I'm the one who tied it together, but it is of this church and of the people in it. And with that, the doll is made. Typically, we will anoint with oil. And I'm also going to use some of the water here. Supermoon water, total bonus. Way to go, Carrie. And the oil I'm going to put on it is called Harvest Home. I'm going to put some of it on the string, and then I'm going to pass it around. So if you are concerned about any sensitivities, you want to hold it by the corn husks, by the stick arms, or by the head. And as you hold the doll, I want you to just kind of envision what you want to harvest for yourself, for your community, for your church, over the next year. One of the things of Harvest Home, the way we do it, is yes, it's somber, right? It's a sacrifice. You put your time and effort into this doll. But also it's a celebration, because where you are right now is so much further than where you were a year ago. So as we're waiting for the doll to be passed around, if you have any questions or if anything comes up for you, you're welcome to speak it. Or if you just want to sit in silence, that's okay too. Nobody. The question was, who taught me how to make those? I didn't. The beauty of dolls is they've been around for so long that there's, quite honestly, no wrong way to make them. That's another reason why I wanted to make a grass doll instead of a corn doll. Some of our grass dolls look like bundles. This one, I don't know if you can see it. She's looking a little queenie to me because she's got that like hip pop. It's just whatever you have and whatever works. And again, it's a reminder of the humanity. There are so many different ways to be a person, so many different ways to be in community, and that doesn't necessarily mean that any of them are wrong. But yeah, it's just kind of trial and effort. I like making mine look vaguely humanoid. They all have their arms out because I'm not that creative. But I've also seen them just huge bundles of like sticks and twigs and flowers and thorns, whatever you have, whatever feels right. Because it's for you.
When I was researching corn dollies a little bit to familiarize myself with